Welcome, and let the world grow soft and quiet around you. As your breathing slows all on its own, imagine drifting gently upward from the Earth, out past the moon and the wandering planets, out beyond our own great pinwheel of stars, into the calm and open dark where the galaxies drift. Far across that dark, two vast islands of light are slowly falling toward one another. Our own Milky Way, and its great neighbor Andromeda, two immense spirals leaning together across millions of years. Tonight we will follow their long, slow embrace, one gentle fact at a time, all the way into deep time and quiet sleep. There is nothing at all you need to hold on to now. Just breathe and let go, and welcome back to Beyond the Stars. The first fact is that the great galaxy we will follow tonight is called Andromeda, and it is the nearest large galaxy to our own, a vast island of stars drifting in the dark just beyond the edge of our little corner of the cosmos. Astronomers also know it by a quieter name, M31, the 31st entry in an old catalog of soft and misty objects in the night sky. It is a true spiral galaxy, much like our own Milky Way, a great slow pinwheel of hundreds of billions of suns, turning gently in the deep, so far away that its light takes millions of years simply to reach our waiting eyes. There is a quiet comfort in holding such a vastness in the mind, gently, without any need to grasp it fully, simply to let it be, immense and beautiful, turning softly far beyond the reach of our small and busy days. The second fact is that Andromeda lies about 2.5 million light-years away from us, a distance so vast it is almost impossible to truly hold in the mind. The light you see from it tonight left that galaxy 2.5 million years ago, long before there were any people at all to look up and wonder. When that light first set out across the dark, our earliest ancestors had not yet learned to make fire, and it has been traveling quietly and steadily, all through the long ages since, only now arriving gently at your eyes tonight. And it is a gentle thing to rest one's mind upon, this quiet grandeur of the deep, spacious and calm and asking nothing. A soft place to lay the day down at last, and to let the slow dark gather you toward sleep. The third fact is that Andromeda is one of the very few galaxies you can see with your own unaided eyes, a faint and misty smudge of light on a clear, dark night, far from the glow of any city. To find it, you would look toward the constellation that shares its name, and there, if the sky is dark enough, a soft oval glow hangs quietly among the stars. That gentle smudge is the combined light of 1 trillion suns, blurred by distance into a single quiet blur. The most distant thing that most human eyes will ever see without any help at all. The fourth fact is that Andromeda is thought to contain something like 1 trillion stars, perhaps 2 or 3 times as many as our own Milky Way holds. A number so enormous that if you tried to count them one by one, a single star every second, you would not finish in 100,000 lifetimes. Each of those trillion suns is a world unto itself, many of them wrapped in planets of their own, drifting through the great spiral in slow and stately orbits. An entire second galaxy of possibility, glowing softly across the wide gulf of space. The fifth fact is that Andromeda is a truly enormous galaxy, its bright spiral disk stretching well over 100,000 light-years from edge to edge, larger even than our own Milky Way. If you could somehow see it in the sky at its true size, and if its faint outer reaches were bright enough to glimpse, it would span an arc several times wider than the full moon. It only looks small and faint to us because it is so unimaginably far away, a giant hushed into the softest of whispers by the sheer distance that lies between us. And when you picture it now, in the hush of this late hour, let it settle over you like a soft and weightless blanket of stars, a stillness far larger than any worry the day may have left behind. The sixth fact is that Andromeda and our Milky Way are the 2 largest members of a small gathering of galaxies that astronomers call the Local Group. a quiet neighborhood of some dozens of galaxies, most of them small and dim, all loosely bound together by gravity in one corner of the vast cosmos. Within this little family, Andromeda and the Milky Way are the two great giants, the two bright anchors around which the smaller galaxies drift, two grand spirals, sharing a single small pocket of the endless and gentle dark. The seventh fact is that Andromeda, seen up close, is a magnificent spiral, its stars gathered into long, sweeping arms that curl gracefully outward from a bright and crowded center. Along those arms drift great clouds of gas and dust, glowing softly where new stars are being born, and dark where the dust hides the light behind it. From our distant vantage, we see the whole spiral tilted at a steep angle, so that it appears not as a perfect circle but as a long, gentle oval of light, a great cosmic pinwheel caught forever mid-turn in the silence of space. The eighth fact is that at the very heart of Andromeda lies a dense, glowing bulge of ancient stars, packed so closely together that near the center they crowd the whole sky, and hidden within that bright core, astronomers have found something strange, what appears to be a double nucleus, two bright knots of stars where we might expect only one. It is thought this may be a ring of old stars swirling around the center, seen at just such an angle that it looks like two, one more quiet mystery in a galaxy already full of them. It is the kind of thought one can rest inside of, spacious and unhurried, asking nothing at all, only that you breathe a little more slowly, and let the great calm of it carry you gently downward towards sleep. The ninth fact is that Andromeda, like our own Milky Way, is circled by a small retinue of companion galaxies, little dwarf galaxies held gently in orbit around it. Two of the brightest, known simply as M32 and M110, can be seen as small soft glows close beside the great spiral in a telescope. These little companions drift around their giant host like moons around a planet, though on a scale almost beyond imagining, small islands of stars, keeping their vast neighbor quiet company through all the long ages. The 10th fact is that Andromeda has been quietly watched by human eyes for more than 1,000 years. Long before anyone knew what it truly was, a Persian astronomer described it as a small cloud in the sky over 1,000 years ago, and for centuries afterward it was thought to be no more than a nearby patch of glowing gas within our own galaxy. Only in the last 100 years did we finally understand that it is a separate galaxy entirely, an island universe of its own. A discovery that suddenly made the whole cosmos vastly, dizzyingly larger than anyone had dreamed. The 11th fact is that we owe our modern understanding of Andromeda to the careful work of astronomers in the early 20th century, who at last measured its true distance by studying certain special stars within it, stars whose brightness pulses in a steady, knowable rhythm. They realized Andromeda lay far beyond the edge of our own Milky Way. In that quiet moment, the universe grew immeasurably vaster, for we understood that our galaxy was not all there was, but only one of countless others scattered across the dark. A humbling and beautiful widening of everything we had thought we knew. The 12th fact is that Andromeda is far more massive than its glowing stars alone could ever explain, for it is wrapped in a vast, invisible halo of what astronomers call dark matter, an unseen substance that gives off no light at all, and yet whose gravity helps hold the whole galaxy together. This dark halo reaches far beyond the visible spiral, out into the surrounding space, and it is this hidden mass that will one day help draw our two galaxies together. An invisible hand, reaching quietly across the dark, gently gathering the giants toward their meeting. There is something deeply soothing in that immensity, in knowing how small and safe our own quiet corner truly is. A little pocket of warmth and stillness, drifting peacefully within a cosmos far too vast to ever trouble it. The 13th fact is that although Andromeda is the brightest galaxy in our northern sky, it still glows only very softly, its light spread thin across a wide patch of the heavens. This is why it looks so faint and gentle to the eye, even though it pours out the combined light of a trillion suns. All that brilliance, gathered over 100,000 light-years of stars, is smeared by the distance into the faintest of glows. A whole galaxy dimmed to a soft gray whisper by the sheer immensity of the space between us. The 14th fact is that when astronomers point their great cameras at Andromeda and let the light gather slowly, hour after patient hour, the faint smudge blossoms into breathtaking detail. Long exposures reveal the graceful spiral arms, the glowing pink clouds where stars are born, the dark rivers of dust, and the countless individual suns speckled across the disk. What the eye sees as a single soft blur, patient photography unfolds into a whole shining world. A portrait of a galaxy so rich and so detailed that one could study it quietly for a lifetime. The 15th fact is that Andromeda, like all galaxies, is not still, but drifting through the vast dark of space, carried along by the gentle pull of gravity and the slow expansion of the universe. Most distant galaxies are being carried away from us, ever farther, as the cosmos gently swells. But Andromeda is different, for it is close enough that the gravity between us has won out over that expansion. And so, instead of receding, it is slowly, quietly falling toward us across the millions of light-years of dark. Let that gentle vastness widen around you now, softening the edges of the room, softening the edges of the day, until there is nothing left to hold and nothing left to do but drift. The 16th fact is that when you gaze at Andromeda on a dark night, you are looking further back in time than in almost any other moment of your life. The soft light entering your eyes is 2.5 million years old, a gentle messenger that set out before our own kind had fully come to be. To look at Andromeda is to look into the deep past, to see a galaxy not as it is now, but as it was in an age before all human history. A quiet reminder that in the cosmos, to see far away is always also to see long ago. The 17th fact is that somewhere within Andromeda's trillion stars, there are almost certainly countless planets, whole worlds we will never see, drifting around suns 2.5 million light-years away. Some may be barren and scorched, others frozen and dark, and a rare few, perhaps, gentle and blue and warm, with oceans and skies of their own. We can only imagine them, these distant and unreachable worlds. An entire galaxy of unseen lands, glowing together as that single faint smudge in our quiet night sky. The 18th fact is that astronomers study Andromeda so carefully in part because it helps them to understand our own galaxy. We live deep inside the Milky Way, and so we can never step outside it to see its full shape from afar, the way we can with Andromeda. By gazing at our great neighbor so similar to our own home, we glimpse what the Milky Way might look like from the outside. Using the galaxy next door as a kind of mirror held up across the dark, a mirror of a trillion stars, showing us gently the shape of the home we can never fully see. The 19th fact is that Andromeda glows in more than one color. If only you could see it clearly, its crowded golden center rich with ancient, cooler stars, and its sweeping outer arms tinged with the cool blue of younger, hotter suns. Scattered along those arms are soft pink knots, the glowing nurseries where new stars are still being born. It is a portrait of a galaxy's whole life at once, the old and the young, the dying and the newly kindled, all turning together in one great and graceful wheel of light. And so the great wheel turns, slowly and silently, needing no witness and no help from us at all. A motion so patient and so sure that simply to think of it is to feel one's own breathing grow calm and slow. The 20th fact is that of all the galaxies in the entire universe, Andromeda holds a special place in our story, for it is the one that is coming to meet us in a cosmos where nearly everything is drifting steadily apart. This one great neighbor is drawing ever nearer on a slow and certain course toward our own Milky Way. Tonight, as we drift together toward sleep, we will follow that long approach across billions of years. The patient, gentle falling together of two vast islands of stars, in a meeting written into the sky since long before we were here to see it. There is a hush in it that spreads outward through the room, softening every sound, smoothing every thought, until there is only your breathing, slow and even, and the great calm night settling gently all around you. The 21st fact is that our own home, the Milky Way, is itself a great spiral galaxy, a vast wheel of several hundred billion stars, and our sun is but one modest, middle-aged star among them all. Like Andromeda, it has a bright central bulge and long, graceful arms winding outward through the dark. We live deep inside it, wrapped in its stars, and so we can never see it whole from the outside. Only from within, as a soft river of light spilling across the night sky, the gathered glow of countless distant suns too faint to tell apart. The 22nd fact is that the Milky Way is what astronomers call a barred spiral, for across its very center runs a great straight bar of stars, from whose ends the spiral arms unwind. For a long time we did not even know this bar was there, hidden as it is behind vast clouds of dust and the sheer crowding of the central stars. Only patient study in infrared light, which pierces the dust, revealed its true shape, a slow and quiet discovery of the very structure of the home we have always lived within. It is a picture to sink into gently, like sinking into soft water at the end of a long day. The mind loosening its hold, the thoughts drifting apart like clouds, the whole warm weight of you settling toward rest. The 23rd fact is that the bright disk of the Milky Way stretches roughly 100,000 light-years from one edge to the other, so vast that light itself, the swiftest thing there is, takes 100,000 years just to cross it. And yet, against the scale of the whole universe, even this is small. Our galaxy is but one of hundreds of billions, each one an island of stars adrift in the dark. And ours, for all its enormity, is only a modest home in an almost limitless cosmos. The 24th fact is that on a truly dark night, far from any city, you can see our galaxy for yourself, arching across the sky as a soft, glowing band of pale light. That gentle river, from which the Milky Way takes its very name, is the combined glow of countless stars in the flat disk of our galaxy, so distant and so many that they blur together into a single luminous mist. When you look at it, you are looking edge-on through the whole thickness of your own galaxy, gazing quietly down the long length of home. The 25th fact is that our sun lies far out in the peaceful suburbs of the Milky Way, in a smaller spiral feature known as the Orion Arm, or sometimes the Orion Spur. We are not near the crowded, brilliant center, nor out at the lonely edge, but somewhere gently in between, about halfway out from the middle. It is a calm and quiet neighborhood, our little arm of the galaxy, a peaceful place to have been born, far from the fierce and blazing heart of it all. The 26th fact is that our sun sits about 26,000 light-years from the center of the Milky Way, a distance so great that light from the galaxy's heart takes 26,000 years just to reach us. At the very center lies a region crowded thick with stars, and hidden at its core, a great black hole. From our safe and gentle distance, that fierce center is only a soft glow behind veils of dust, and we drift around it, slowly and steadily, far out in the quiet dark. There is no urgency anywhere in it, no deadline and no hurry, only the deep unhurried calm of the stars. And you are welcome, tonight, to borrow a little of that calm, and to let it carry you softly into sleep. The 27th fact is that our sun, carrying the Earth and all the planets with it, is forever circling the center of the Milky Way, sweeping through space at some 230 kilometers every single second. And yet the galaxy is so enormous that even at this tremendous speed, it takes the Sun around 230 million years to complete a single orbit. We call that long span a galactic year. And in the whole life of the Sun so far, it has circled the galaxy only about 20 times. The 28th fact is that the last time our Sun was in this very part of its long orbit around the galaxy, some 230 million years ago, the earliest dinosaurs were just beginning to walk upon the young Earth. An entire galactic year has passed since then, one slow turn of the great wheel, and in that time whole ages of life have risen and vanished. It is a humbling thought that a single orbit of our galaxy spans such unimaginable stretches of earthly time. The cosmos turning so slowly that empires and eras are but fleeting moments within it. The 29th fact is that the Milky Way holds somewhere between 2 and 400 billion stars, and very likely even more planets than stars, drifting in their countless orbits. Nearly every star we see, astronomers now believe, is circled by worlds of its own. That means our single galaxy contains hundreds of billions of planets, more worlds than there are grains of sand on all the beaches of the Earth. A vast and quiet abundance, most of it forever beyond our sight, scattered across the long arms of home. And how gentle it is to belong to a story so long and so serene that nothing in it can ever be lost or rushed. A story that will hold you safely and ask nothing of you all the long night through. The 30th fact is that at the very center of the Milky Way lies a supermassive black hole, a region of gravity so strong that not even light can escape it, and we call it Sagittarius A star. It holds the mass of some 4 million suns, all gathered into a single dark point at the heart of our galaxy. All the stars of the Milky Way, including our own Sun, drift in slow orbits around this great dark anchor, a quiet, invisible heart around which the whole vast wheel of stars gently turns. The 31st fact is that our Milky Way, like Andromeda, is wrapped in a vast, invisible halo of dark matter, reaching far beyond the glowing disk of stars that we can see. This unseen halo may hold many times the mass of all the visible stars combined, and it is its gravity, more than anything, that binds the galaxy together. It is also this hidden mass, in both galaxies, that is slowly drawing the Milky Way and Andromeda toward one another, two great dark halos, reaching invisibly across the dark, beginning already to touch. The 32nd fact is that the Milky Way is very old, its most ancient stars nearly as old as the universe itself, having formed something like 13 billion years ago. Our galaxy has grown slowly over all that time, gathering in gas and swallowing smaller galaxies, building itself up piece by piece across the ages. The collision that awaits it with Andromeda is only the latest and grandest of many mergers in its long history. For great galaxies, it seems, grow up by gently gathering in their smaller neighbors, one after another over billions of years. The 33rd fact is that for all its vast width, the disk of the Milky Way is astonishingly thin, only about 1,000 light-years thick where our Sun lies, compared to 100,000 light-years across. If you shrank the galaxy down to the width of a dinner plate, its disk would be thinner than a single sheet of paper. We live within this gentle, flattened wheel of stars, drifting in its plane, which is why, when we look along it, we see the crowded band of the Milky Way, and when we look away from it, the sky grows dark and sparse. Let the thought drift through you and away, like a slow current in the dark, leaving only quietness behind. A soft and spreading stillness, in which the day's small noises grow faint, and finally fall silent. The 34th fact is that the graceful spiral arms of the Milky Way are not fixed and solid things, but slowly moving waves, patterns that ripple through the disk as the stars orbit. They are places where stars and gas gather a little more thickly, like a gentle traffic jam turning slowly through the galaxy. Stars drift into an arm and later drift out again, even as the pattern itself turns on. So that the beautiful spiral shape is not a rigid structure at all, but a living, moving ripple of light. The 35th fact is that our galaxy is still quietly making new stars, a few each year, in the great cold clouds of gas and dust that drift along its spiral arms. Within those dark clouds, gravity slowly gathers the gas into ever denser knots, until at last, deep inside, a new sun kindles into light. The Milky Way is not a finished thing, but a living galaxy, still being born, star by gentle star, and its coming meeting with Andromeda will one day set off a great new season of that quiet creation. The 36th fact is that our own sun, which rules our sky and warms our world and seems to us the very center of everything, is in truth a rather ordinary star, one of a few hundred billion in the Milky Way. It is middling in size, middling in brightness, middling in age, drifting quietly in the galactic suburbs. And yet around this modest, unremarkable star, a whole living world has arisen, which is perhaps a gentle reminder that the ordinary, in this vast cosmos, can hold the most extraordinary things of all. It is a wonder made for resting in, not for solving, vast and soft and endlessly patient. And you may lay your thoughts down beside it now, one by one, and let each of them grow gently still. The 37th fact is that because we live so deep inside the Milky Way, we can never truly see our own galaxy from the outside, the way we see Andromeda. We can only map it patiently from within, star by star, tracing its shape by careful measurement, like someone trying to draw the plan of a great forest while standing among its trees. Everything we know of our galaxy's spiral form we have pieced together from the inside, looking out, which is one more reason Andromeda is so precious to us, a sister galaxy we can see whole. How soothing to belong so quietly to something so vast, and to be asked for nothing in return but rest, only to lie here in the warm and patient dark, and let the wonder of it carry you softly downward into sleep. The 38th fact is that the Milky Way and Andromeda are roughly equal in mass, two great giants of about the same weight, which is part of why their coming collision will be so grand and so utterly transforming. When one galaxy is far larger than another, the small one is simply swallowed with little change to the great one. But when two near equals meet, as these will, both are utterly reshaped, two comparable titans, destined not for a swallowing, but for a true and mutual merging. The 39th fact is that the Milky Way is not alone, but travels with a small crowd of companion galaxies of its own, little dwarf galaxies bound to it by gravity. Among the brightest are the two Magellanic Clouds, soft glowing patches visible from the southern half of the Earth. These small companions orbit the Milky Way as it drifts through space, and some of them, in time, will be drawn in and gently swallowed, just as the Milky Way itself will one day merge with its far greater neighbor, Andromeda. The 40th fact is that these two great spirals, Andromeda and our Milky Way, are the two dominant giants of our little local group, and they are bound together by gravity across the millions of light years that separate them. They are not drifting apart, as most galaxies in the universe are, but slowly falling toward one another, drawn by the vast pull of their combined mass. And so their meeting is not a chance event, but a certainty written into the very fabric of gravity. A long, patient approach that has already been underway for billions of years. And in that great slowness there is a kind of mercy, a reminder that all things have their time, and that this time now is only for rest, only for breathing and softening, and letting the dark grow kind around you. The 41st fact is that Andromeda is falling toward the Milky Way, drawn steadily nearer by the gentle but relentless gravity between our two great galaxies. In a universe where nearly everything is rushing apart, this one bright neighbor is doing the opposite, closing the vast gap between us across the ages. Every night that you look up at that faint smudge, it is a little nearer than the night before, though by so slight an amount that no eye could ever tell. A slow, certain approach unfolding far too gently for any single lifetime to notice. The 42nd fact is that we know Andromeda is approaching us because of a subtle change in the color of its light, a shift that astronomers call a blue shift. When an object moves toward us, the waves of its light are gently squeezed, and its color shifts ever so slightly toward the blue end of the rainbow. Andromeda's light shows exactly this squeezing, telling us clearly that it is coming closer. One of the very few galaxies whose light is blue shifted rather than reddened, a rare neighbor drawing near instead of drifting away. The 43rd fact is that Andromeda is closing the distance between us at a remarkable speed, sweeping toward the Milky Way at about 110 kilometers every single second. That is nearly 400,000 kilometers in a single hour, fast enough to cross the distance from the Earth to the Moon in only a handful of hours. And yet the gulf between the galaxies is so vast, some 2.5 million light-years, that even at this tremendous pace, the journey will take billions of years. A race runs so slowly, across so great a distance, that it seems to us almost like standing still. The 44th fact is that the gentle blue shift in Andromeda's light was first measured over 100 years ago, one of the earliest hints that galaxies could move toward us as well as away. By spreading the galaxy's light into a spectrum, astronomers can read its motion the way one might read the pitch of a passing sound, higher as it nears, lower as it recedes. Andromeda's light sings, ever so faintly, of approach, a quiet signal that our great neighbor is on its way, at last, to meet us. So let the image linger, faint and lovely, at the edge of your drifting mind. A soft glow of distant stars, growing dimmer and gentler as you sink, slowly, toward the deep and dreamless quiet of sleep. The 45th fact is that knowing how fast Andromeda moves toward us is only half the story. For a galaxy can also drift sideways across our line of sight, and this sideways motion is far harder to measure. For many years, astronomers could not be sure whether Andromeda would strike the Milky Way head-on, or merely sweep gently past. Only patient measurements, made with our finest space telescopes, finally pinned down that gentle sideways drift, and revealed that the two galaxies are indeed set upon a true and lasting meeting. The 46th fact is that by watching Andromeda with exquisite care over many years, astronomers were finally able to measure its faint sideways motion, and so to chart its true path through space. What they found is that Andromeda's sideways drift is small, so small that the galaxy is falling almost straight toward us. And so the two galaxies are very likely to meet, not with a glancing brush, but with a deep and lasting embrace, a certainty now, where once there was only a careful suspicion. The 47th fact is that even at 110 kilometers each second, the closing of the gap between Andromeda and the Milky Way is imperceptibly slow, set against the sheer immensity of the distance between us. The two galaxies are like two great ships, drifting toward one another across an ocean so wide that their approach will take billions of years to complete. Nothing about it is sudden, nothing hurried, only the slow, patient, and unstoppable narrowing of the dark between two islands of stars. There is room in a thought like this to let everything else fall away, all the small cares and hurries of the waking world. Room enough to breathe, and to rest, and to simply be beneath the endless and patient stars. The 48th fact is that the force drawing Andromeda and the Milky Way together is simply gravity, the same gentle pull that holds you to the Earth, and the Earth to the Sun. Every bit of matter in the universe pulls on every other bit, and across the millions of light-years between our galaxies, the combined gravity of all their stars and their vast dark halos has been quietly at work for ages. It is the oldest and gentlest of forces, and it is enough, given enough time, to bring even two whole galaxies together, slowly, patiently, across the deep. The 49th fact is that as Andromeda and the Milky Way draw nearer to one another, they will fall faster and faster, for gravity grows stronger as the distance between them shrinks. Just as a stone dropped from a height speeds up as it falls, so too the two galaxies will accelerate toward each other in the final stretch of their long approach. What begins as a slow and gentle drift will end, billions of years from now, in a swift and grand rushing together, though even that final rush will unfold far too slowly for any single moment to capture. The 50th fact is that long before the bright stars of the two galaxies ever meet, their vast invisible halos of dark matter will begin to touch and overlap, reaching across the dark toward one another. These great unseen clouds stretch far beyond the glowing spirals, and it is here, in the dark and empty space between the visible galaxies, that the merging truly begins. The first embrace will be one of shadows, not of light, an invisible mingling quietly underway, long before anything at all can be seen to change. The 51st fact is that it is not only Andromeda and the Milky Way that are drawn together, but the whole local group of galaxies, all slowly gathering toward a common center under their shared gravity. In the fullness of deep time, many of these smaller galaxies too will be pulled in and merged. The collision we follow tonight is only the grandest chapter in a much longer story, the slow coming together of a whole family of galaxies. All of them, in the end, destined to become one. And it asks nothing of you now but to notice it softly, and then to let even the noticing go, to let the mind grow spacious and dim, and the body grow heavy and warm, and the whole quiet night take you gently in. The 52nd fact is that across the universe as a whole, space itself is gently expanding, carrying the distant galaxies ever farther apart from one another. But within our own small local group, gravity has won out over that expansion, binding our galaxies together too tightly to be pulled apart. And so, while the far reaches of the cosmos drift away into ever greater loneliness, our own little neighborhood is drawing closer together, an island of gathering, in a wide ocean of things gently falling apart. The 53rd fact is that for a very long time to come, nothing about Andromeda will visibly change in our night sky, for the approach is so slow and the distance so great that no human lifetime, nor even the whole span of human history, could ever notice it. For now, and for millions of years yet, Andromeda will remain that same faint, gentle smudge our ancestors saw. Only in the far distant future will it begin, at last, to grow, slowly swelling across the sky as the ages roll gently on. The 54th fact is that although the word collision may sound violent and frightening, there is truly nothing to fear in the meeting of these two galaxies, and certainly nothing that will ever touch our own lives. It lies billions of years in the future, further ahead than the entire age of the Earth so far. By the time it comes, our world as we know it will long since have changed beyond all recognition. So we may follow this great event with wonder rather than worry, watching it unfold gently from the safe and quiet distance of deep time. How restful it is to be so small a part of something so vast and so serene, to know that the great slow turning of the heavens will go on, gentle and unhurried, whether you wake or whether you sleep. The 55th fact is that 110 kilometers each second is a speed almost beyond human experience, more than 100 times faster than any sound, faster than any rocket we have ever launched, and yet, spread across the 2.5 million light-years between the galaxies, Even such a speed seems to crawl. It is a humbling lesson in scale, that a motion so swift can still take billions of years to matter. The vastness of space quietly swallowing even the fastest of journeys. And you may let the whole of it drift on without you now, turning slowly and silently far away, leaving you free to sink into the pillow and loosen every muscle and follow your breath down toward the deep of sleep. The 56th fact is that the falling together of Andromeda and the Milky Way is not something that will begin in the future, but something that has already been underway for billions of years. The two galaxies have been drawing toward one another since long before the Earth was formed, since long before the Sun itself was even born. We are watching, tonight, a single frozen instant of a motion older than our whole solar system. A slow embrace that was already ancient when our world was young. The 57th fact is that our understanding of Andromeda's approach has been sharpened by our finest instruments, great telescopes set above the blurring air of the Earth, and star-mapping missions that chart the heavens with exquisite precision. By measuring the tiny motions of Andromeda's stars over years, astronomers have refined their picture of exactly how and when the two galaxies will meet. It is patient, painstaking work, teasing out motions almost too small to see, slowly bringing the distant future into clearer and clearer view. The 58th fact is that for a long while, astronomers were unsure whether the two galaxies would strike nearly head-on, or merely graze past one another in a glancing pass. The best measurements now suggest a fairly direct meeting, though some newer studies hint the encounter may be gentler, more of a long, slow dance than a single dramatic plunge. Either way, the ending is the same, for once two such galaxies begin to interact, gravity will draw them back together again and again, until, at last, they merge into one. Let it be like a lullaby of light and distance, sung so far away that you feel only its calm. A soft and wordless reassurance, drifting down to you across the millions of light years, easing you toward rest. The 59th fact is that the meeting of Andromeda and the Milky Way will not happen all at once, in a single moment, but in a series of slow passes spread across 1 billion years or more. The two galaxies will sweep past and through one another, then be drawn back by gravity, then pass again, each encounter reshaping them further. It will be less a collision than a long, gradual embrace, unfolding over spans of time longer than the age of the Earth so far. A merging measured not in moments, but in ages. The 60th fact is that when we ask exactly when this great meeting will begin, we must speak not in years or centuries, but in billions of years, in the deep and patient currency of cosmic time. The first true contact between our galaxies lies so far ahead that the number almost loses its meaning. And yet astronomers can estimate it, from the speed and the distance and the pull of gravity. And it is to that distant, gentle reckoning of time that we now turn, as the night deepens softly around you. The 61st fact is that the first true meeting of Andromeda and the Milky Way is expected to begin some 4.5 billion years from now, in a future so distant it is hard even to imagine. That is nearly as long again as the entire age of the Earth, which has existed for about 4.5 billion years already. So the collision lies as far ahead of us as the birth of our planet lies behind. A perfect, quiet symmetry of deep time, with this present moment poised gently at its very center. And there is nothing you need to do about any of it, nothing to hold and nothing to solve. Only to lie here gently and let the vast and quiet cosmos keep its slow and faithful watch while you drift into sleep. The 62nd fact is that 4.5 billion years is a span of time so vast that our minds can scarcely hold it, for it dwarfs all of human history many millions of times over. The whole story of our species, from the first stone tools to this very night, is but the faintest flicker within it. To speak of such spans, astronomers use the phrase deep time, a way of gesturing at durations too great for ordinary imagining. A slow, patient river of ages, flowing far beyond the reach of any human memory. The 63rd fact is that across all those billions of years, it is gravity, silent and tireless, that does the slow work of bringing the galaxies together. There is no engine, no push, no sudden event, only the gentle, ceaseless pull of mass upon mass, patiently narrowing the gap. Gravity is in no hurry, and it never rests, and given enough time it can move even galaxies. The quietest of all the forces, shaping the grandest of all the cosmos, one slow age at a time. The 64th fact is that by the time the two galaxies meet, our own sun will be very old, nearing the end of its long and steady life. In about 5 billion years, roughly when the collision is well underway, the sun will begin to swell into a red giant, growing vast and cool and red as it exhausts its fuel. And so the great galactic merger and the aging of our own star are, in a gentle way, events of the very same distant era, two grand endings, unfolding together in the deep future. The 65th fact is that by the time Andromeda arrives, the Earth as we know it will very likely have changed beyond all recognition. For long before the collision, the slowly brightening sun will have warmed our world past the point where life as we know it could endure. The oceans may have boiled away, and the familiar face of our planet may be lost. And so no human eyes, at least none like ours, will watch the galaxies meet from this Earth. Only, perhaps, the memory of us drifting somewhere out among the stars. So breathe it in softly, this great and gentle picture of the deep, and breathe out, slower still, and feel how the thought of such vastness makes your own small resting place feel all the warmer and the safer. The 66th fact is that the exact timing of the collision is not known with perfect certainty, for it depends on measurements almost too delicate to make, of motions unfolding across millions of light years. Some studies place the first meeting a little sooner, some a little later, and a few even suggest the galaxies might take longer still, or pass more gently than once thought. But all agree that it will happen in the fullness of billions of years. The when may shift a little, but the certainty of the meeting does not. The 67th fact is that the merging of the galaxies will unfold across an enormous stretch of time, beginning with a first close pass in about 4.5 billion years, and completing perhaps 2 billion years after that. The two spirals will approach, sweep through one another, draw apart, and fall together again, over and over, until at last they settle into a single galaxy. From the first touch to the final calm may span more than 1 billion years. An event so slow that it is less a moment than an entire age. The 68th fact is that for any being alive during the collision, if such beings there are, the meeting of the galaxies would not seem like an event at all, but like an unchanging feature of the sky. So slowly does it all unfold that a whole civilization could rise and fall while Andromeda hung, seemingly motionless, ever larger in the heavens. There would be no crash to hear, no single moment to mark. Only the vast, silent, patient turning of two galaxies, far too grand and too gradual for any single life to witness in motion. It is the kind of slow and spacious thought that has no edges to catch on, nothing sharp, nothing pressing. A wide, soft field of stars in which the tired mind can finally lie down and stretch out and rest. The 69th fact is that the universe itself is presently about 13.5 billion years old, and so the collision 4.5 billion years hence will unfold when the cosmos is roughly 18 billion years old. The universe will still be young, in a sense, with a future ahead of it far longer than its past. There will be time yet for countless more mergers, countless more slow gatherings of galaxies. For the great story of the cosmos is only just beginning, even now. The 70th fact is that there is a gentle poetry in the timing. that our sun should reach its old age at nearly the same distant moment the galaxies meet. It is not truly a coincidence born of any connection, but simply that both events are governed by the same slow, patient scales of cosmic time, measured in billions of years. The life of a star and the falling together of galaxies both unfold in that deep and unhurried rhythm, two great clocks of the universe, quietly keeping a similar kind of time. The 71st fact is that although no human being will ever live to see the collision, we can still predict it with real confidence, because the laws of gravity are so well understood and so utterly reliable. From the present motions of the galaxies, astronomers can run the great cosmic clock forward in their calculations and watch the meeting unfold in simulation. It is a strange and wonderful power to foresee an event billions of years away, to know tonight how the sky will look in a future none of us will ever reach. The 72nd fact is that much of what we know about the coming collision comes not from watching, but from vast computer simulations in which astronomers model the two galaxies as countless points of gravity and let the calculation run forward through billions of years. In mere hours of computing time, the machines replay ages of cosmic history, showing the spirals stretching, tangling, and finally merging. These simulations are our windows into the deep future, careful, patient reckonings of a dance we could never live long enough to see. And so you may let the whole of it drift on without you now, turning quietly in the dark, needing no attention at all, freeing you at last to close your eyes and follow your breathing gently down towards sleep. The 73rd fact is that when astronomers run these simulations forward, they see the two graceful spirals slowly torn out of shape as they pass, their neat arms stretched into long, sweeping streamers of stars. These great arcs, flung out by the pull of gravity, are called tidal tails, and they can reach for hundreds of thousands of light years into the dark. It is a strangely beautiful sight, even in simulation, the unwinding of two galaxies into rivers of light, a slow and graceful undoing, unfolding across the ages. It is a picture soft enough to fall asleep inside of, wide and dim and endlessly kind. The stars growing gentle, the distance growing tender, the whole great scene dissolving quietly as your eyes grow heavy and close. The 74th fact is that during the first close pass of the galaxies, our sun, if it still shines, may be flung outward along one of those great tidal tails, cast into a new and distant orbit far from where it began, or it may be drawn inward, nearer the tangled center. The simulations cannot say precisely, for the outcome depends on tiny details of chance. But wherever it goes, the sun itself will very likely ride the great upheaval unharmed, carried gently along on the slow tides of the merging galaxies. The 75th fact is that the reason we can speak so confidently of events 4.5 billion years away is that gravity is perhaps the most dependable thing in all the universe. It has behaved in exactly the same gentle, unfailing way since the very beginning of time, and it will go on doing so. When we predict the collision, we are simply trusting gravity to keep being what it has always been, the one steady, patient certainty upon which the whole great clockwork of the heavens turns. There is a tenderness in imagining it, in feeling ourselves so briefly and so warmly a part of that endless unfolding, a gentle belonging that costs nothing and soothes everything in the quiet of a night like this. The 76th fact is that 4.5 billion years is longer than life has yet existed on the Earth, for the first living things arose perhaps 3.5 or 4 billion years ago. So the collision lies further in our future than the entire history of life lies in our past. Everything that has ever lived and breathed and grown upon our world, from the first tiny cell to this very night, fills a span shorter than the wait still ahead, a humbling measure of just how deep this coming time truly is. The 77th fact is that once two galaxies as close and as massive as Andromeda and the Milky Way begin to fall toward one another, their meeting becomes very nearly inevitable, written into the certainty of gravity. There is no force that will turn them aside, no chance that will spare them the encounter. Across the billions of years, they will come together as surely as a dropped stone will fall, a destiny fixed not by any fate, but by the simple, patient mathematics of mass and motion. The 78th fact is that if there is a single lesson in the timing of this great event, it is one of patience, of the cosmos taking its time, unhurried and serene. Nothing in the heavens rushes. The galaxies drift together over spans that make our longest human ages seem the briefest of moments. And there is a deep calm in that thought that the universe is in no hurry at all, that it has all the time there is and spends it gently, one quiet age after another. The 79th fact is that for all the billions of years between now and the collision, our night sky will remain almost entirely unchanged, the familiar constellations drifting only slowly, the Milky Way arching quietly overhead. Andromeda will hang as that same soft smudge for millions upon millions of years before it ever begins to grow. And so, though a great transformation awaits, it lies so far ahead that the sky of our children, and their children for ages to come, will look much as it does tonight, gentle and slow and reassuringly the same. Let the vastness hold you, then, the way the dark holds the stars, softly and without effort, asking nothing, judging nothing, only cradling you gently in its immense and patient stillness as you drift. The 80th fact is that only in the last few 100 million years before the meeting will Andromeda at last begin to swell noticeably in the sky, growing from a faint smudge into a great and glowing presence. And it is that slow blossoming, unfolding across the final stretch of the approach, that would be the most breathtaking sight of all, could anyone be there to see it. So let us drift forward now into that far future, and imagine how the heavens themselves would slowly change as the great galaxy came near. The 81st fact is that as the two galaxies draw near across the final hundreds of millions of years, Andromeda will slowly swell in the night sky, growing from a faint gray smudge into a vast and luminous spiral spread across the heavens. Little by little, age by age, it will brighten and widen, until at last it dominates the darkness above. To any watchers alive then, the great galaxy would become the most magnificent sight in all their sky, a slow-blooming wonder, unfolding across spans of time no single life could ever hold. The 82nd fact is that in the final ages before the collision, Andromeda would grow so large in the sky that it would stretch across a wide arc of the heavens, far larger than the moon, its glowing spiral arms sweeping from horizon toward zenith. Where once it was the faintest of smudges, it would become a great pinwheel of soft light, its structure plain to the naked eye. It would be, without any question, the grandest thing in the night, a whole galaxy laid open across the sky in gentle and silent splendor. The 83rd fact is that as Andromeda grew nearer, the night sky itself would slowly brighten, for the combined light of its trillion stars would pour down upon whatever worlds still turned below. The deep darkness between the stars would soften, tinged with the pale glow of the approaching galaxy. Nights would never again be truly black, but washed in a gentle luminescence, as though a second, softer Milky Way had risen to share the sky with our own, two great rivers of starlight arching together overhead. And how quietly it all proceeds, without a sound, without a single hurried motion, across ages beyond our counting. A silence so deep and so kind that simply resting within the thought of it can slow the racing heart to peace. The 84th fact is that in those final ages, an observer beneath the sky would see two great galaxies at once, our own Milky Way arching across the heavens as it always has, and Andromeda swelling beside it, ever larger. For a time, the two spirals would hang together in the dark, two vast wheels of light leaning toward one another. It would be a sight granted to no human eyes that have ever lived, or perhaps ever will. Two galaxies, side by side in a single sky, in the slow moment before their meeting. The 85th fact is that as the galaxies began truly to interact, their once graceful spiral shapes would slowly warp and stretch, pulled out of form by the tides of their mutual gravity. Long streamers of stars would begin to arc across the sky, the neat arms unwinding into great sweeping ribbons of light. The heavens would fill with strange and beautiful new shapes, unlike anything in our sky today. A slow, silent rearranging of the very structure of the night, unfolding across millions of years. The 86th fact is that as the gas clouds of the two galaxies met and collided, great bursts of new stars would kindle into being, and the sky would come alight with brilliant young suns and glowing clouds of newborn light. Patches of the heavens would blaze with the fierce blue of hot young stars and the soft rose of the nebulae that birthed them. It would be a season of creation written across the sky, the merging galaxies ablaze with the light of countless suns being born. So let your thoughts grow as slow and as spacious as that distant dance, and let them, too, begin to settle, drifting apart, growing dim, sinking softly toward the warm and welcome dark of sleep. The 87th fact is that the sky of the merging galaxies would be richer in color than any night we know, laced with the deep gold of old crowded stars, the cool blue of young ones, and the tender pink of glowing gas. Great dark lanes of dust would thread through it all, carving soft shadows across the luminous spirals. It would be a heaven painted in every hue the cosmos can offer, a slow, silent masterpiece, turning gently overhead across the ages. The 88th fact is that our own Milky Way would not remain untouched, for it too would be stretched and reshaped by Andromeda's pull, its familiar band across the sky slowly bending and warping. The gentle river of light we know tonight would twist into new and unfamiliar shapes, drawn out toward the approaching giant. Both galaxies, in the end, would lose their old forms together, two spirals dissolving gently into one another, their separate beauties merging into something wholly new. The 89th fact is that as Andromeda drew close, its bright central bulge would blaze in the sky like a second, softer sun of the night, a glowing golden heart of countless crowded stars. It would cast the faintest of shadows upon the ground, a gentle silver light unlike the moon's, spread wide across the heavens. To stand beneath such a sky would be to stand beneath the very heart of another galaxy, near enough, at last, to see its ancient light gathered into a single glowing crown. The 90th fact is that for all its grandeur, this transformation of the sky would unfold in perfect silence, for space carries no sound, and the changes would be far too slow for any eye to catch in motion. From one night to the next, nothing would seem to move at all. Only across thousands and millions of years would the great galaxy visibly swell and shift. It would be a spectacle of the deepest patience, a slow and soundless unfolding, grander than anything, and gentler than a single breath. There is a gentle freedom in it, in knowing that nothing out there needs us, nothing waits on us, nothing hurries, that the great cosmos will keep its slow and beautiful course while we, tonight, do nothing at all but rest. The 91st fact is that if any world were to survive to witness the collision, perhaps some distant planet drifting around a long-lived star, its skies would hold a wonder beyond all telling. Night after night, age after age, the great spiral of Andromeda swelling ever larger, until it filled the heavens with soft and silent light. What a thing it would be To lie beneath such a sky, to watch across a lifetime the slow and stately approach of an entire galaxy. There is a deep peace in such slowness, a peace that has no edges and no end, and it is yours to borrow tonight, to let it flow through you, easing the shoulders, quieting the mind, drawing you gently toward rest. The 92nd fact is that it is humbling to think that the same Andromeda which is, tonight, only the faintest gray smudge at the very limit of our sight, will one day blaze across the heavens as the grandest sight in the sky. The distance that dims it now to a whisper will slowly close, and the whisper will swell into a soft shout of light. What we can barely see tonight, a future sky will not be able to ignore. The same galaxy, transformed by time from a smudge into a splendor. The 93rd fact is that this slow brightening of Andromeda in the sky would not happen suddenly, but gradually across hundreds of millions of years, each age finding the galaxy a little larger and a little brighter than the one before. A civilization that lived through even a small part of it might pass down, across its generations, the slow legend of the growing light in the sky. It would be a change measured not in lifetimes, but in eras, a story too long for any single people ever to tell in full. And it is a soft thing to fall asleep beside, this quiet certainty of the stars, faithful and unfailing. A steady presence in the dark, keeping its ancient promise while you let go, at last, of the long day. The 94th fact is that as the galaxies merged, the very stars of the night sky would slowly rearrange themselves. For old constellations would dissolve and new ones form as the two great collections of suns mingled. The familiar patterns we trace tonight, the hunters and the bears and the crosses of our sky, would fade and be replaced by shapes no human has ever seen. The whole map of the heavens would be gently redrawn. A new sky, slowly written over the old, across the passing ages. The 95th fact is that we, tonight, can only imagine this future sky, for none of us will ever look upon it with our own eyes, and yet there is a quiet joy even in the imagining, in picturing that far-off heaven ablaze with two merging galaxies, and knowing that the seeds of that spectacle are already drifting toward us through the dark. We hold the vision in our minds alone, a gift of the imagination, reaching across 4.5 billion years to a sky we will never see. The 96th fact is that there is something deeply peaceful in picturing that distant sky, the great galaxy swelling silently overhead, the heavens slowly filling with soft and gentle light. It is a vision without haste, without violence, without any need of us at all. The galaxies will meet whether or not anyone is watching, in perfect, patient calm. And to hold that image in the mind, here in the quiet of the night, is a soothing thing, a reminder of the vast and gentle serenity that reigns among the stars. The 97th fact is that in the final ages before the merging, Andromeda might grow so bright and so large that it would rival even the moon as a feature of the night, though softer and spread far wider across the sky. Not a single bright disk, but a vast glowing spiral, hanging luminous in the dark. Where the moon is a small bright coin, Andromeda would be a great pinwheel of light, filling a wide swath of the heavens. The grandest object any night sky has ever held. Let it settle over the room like starlight through a window, pale and cool and endlessly gentle. A soft glow at the edge of sleep, in which the shapes of the day grow faint, and the mind grows calm, and the breath grows slow. The 98th fact is that though we will never see that sky, we are perhaps the first generation of humans ever able to picture it truly, for only now do we understand galaxies well enough to foresee their meeting. Our distant ancestors saw Andromeda as a mere cloud, and could not have dreamed of its fate. But we, tonight, can gaze at that faint smudge and know, gently, what it will one day become, a rare and quiet privilege to hold the deep future in the mind. The 99th fact is that this future sky, so magnificent and so strange, will belong to no one and to everyone, unfolding in the great silence of space whether or not any eyes remain to see it. The galaxies do not merge for us, nor for any watcher. They simply follow the gentle pull of gravity, as they always have, in perfect indifference and perfect peace. And there is a strange comfort in that, a universe that goes on being beautiful quietly with or without anyone to say so. The 100th fact is that as wondrous as the swelling galaxy would look from below, the truth of what happens when two galaxies meet is stranger and gentler than the word collision suggests. For when Andromeda and the Milky Way at last come together, they will not shatter, nor crash, nor break apart in fire. Instead, they will pass through one another, almost like two ghosts, their stars gliding past in the vast dark. And it is that quiet, surprising truth that we turn to now, as the night grows deeper still. And so we drift a little further into the wonder, unhurried, in no rush to arrive anywhere at all. For there is nowhere to be tonight but here, and nothing to do but breathe and soften and slowly let go. The 101st fact is that the most surprising truth of the whole great collision is that, in all likelihood, not a single star from Andromeda will ever strike a single star from the Milky Way. The reason is simple and yet almost impossible to feel, that the distances between the stars are so vast, and the stars themselves so tiny by comparison, that they slip past one another with room to spare. Two entire galaxies can pass through each other, and their stars never touch. A collision, and yet a collision in which almost nothing at all collides. The 102nd fact is that to understand why stars do not collide, one must grasp just how empty a galaxy truly is. For between one star and the next lie unimaginable gulfs of empty space. If our sun were the size of a single grain of sand, the nearest star would be another grain of sand many kilometers away, with nothing but darkness in between. Galaxies are made mostly of emptiness, sprinkled ever so thinly with stars. And so, when two galaxies meet, their stars drift past like scattered motes across a vast and open dark. The 103rd fact is that the meeting of two galaxies is a little like two great swarms of bees drifting slowly through one another, each bee so far from the next that they pass without ever touching. The two swarms mingle and merge and become one, and yet no single bee ever strikes another. So it is with the stars of Andromeda and the Milky Way, gliding past each other across the emptiness. Two vast clouds of suns, interpenetrating gently, in a meeting that is almost all open and quiet space. The 104th fact is that in the first great encounter, the two galaxies will very likely pass straight through one another, their stars gliding past in the dark, before gravity slows them and draws them back for another pass. It is not a single crash, but a long, swinging embrace, the galaxies sweeping through and past and back again over hundreds of millions of years. Each pass mingles them further, until at last they settle together. A merging accomplished not in a moment, but in a slow and repeated coming together. There is a deep and simple peace in it, the peace of things that are far too large and too patient to ever be troubled. And a little of that peace can be yours now, if you only let the thought carry you gently down. The 105th fact is that although the stars themselves do not strike one another, the gravity of each galaxy reaches out and reshapes the other, pulling the neat spiral arms into long streamers and stirring the stars into new and wilder orbits. Nothing breaks, nothing shatters, and yet everything is gently rearranged. The galaxies are remade not by collision, but by the soft and sweeping hand of gravity. A transformation without violence, sculpted from pure attraction across the dark. The 106th fact is that even as the galaxies pass through one another, our own sun, wherever it may be by then, would drift through the encounter almost entirely undisturbed by any near approach of Andromeda's stars. The odds of another star coming close enough to trouble our solar system are astonishingly small. So vast is the emptiness between the suns. Our little family of planets, if it endures, would very likely sail through the whole grand merger untouched. A small, quiet island, gliding safely through the meeting of two galaxies. The 107th fact is that although the stars will not collide, their orbits will be thoroughly rearranged. For the gravity of the merging galaxies will fling suns into new and unfamiliar paths. Stars that once circled quietly in neat spiral arms may be cast into long, looping orbits, or hurled far out into the galactic halo, or drawn inward toward the center. The tidy order of two spirals will give way to a wild new mixing, a great cosmic reshuffling, dealing every star a new place in the sky. How soothing to picture such slow and certain motion, unfolding forever without strain or struggle, and to let your own body borrow that ease, muscle by muscle growing soft, breath by breath growing slow and deep. The 108th fact is that, after the merger, the stars of Andromeda and the Milky Way will be forever mingled, drifting side by side through the same new galaxy, indistinguishable to any casual eye. Suns born in two separate galaxies, 2.5 million light-years apart, will share a single home at last. It is a strange and gentle thought that stars with such different origins should end their long lives as neighbors, two galaxies worth of suns, blended quietly into one. And so the vast and gentle cosmos keeps its slow way through the dark, faithful and unhurried and calm, leaving nothing at all for you to do but breathe and soften and let the long day melt quietly into sleep. The 109th fact is that a single pass of the two galaxies through one another would take hundreds of millions of years. So slow is the motion on such a colossal scale. What we might picture as a swift crash is in truth an event of almost unimaginable languor, unfolding across spans longer than the age of many a species on Earth. The galaxies drift through each other with the gentlest of grace. A collision so slow that, moment to moment, it would seem not to be happening at all. The 110th fact is that once two galaxies pass through one another, they do not simply fly apart again. For the friction of their vast gas clouds and the pull of their gravity steal away their motion and draw them back together. With each pass, they lose a little more of their outward speed, until at last they can no longer escape one another. And so they settle slowly into a single merged galaxy, bound together forever by the very encounter that first brought them near. The 111th fact is that astronomers have a name for the gentle process that slows the galaxies and binds them together, calling it dynamical friction, a subtle dragging force born of gravity itself. As each galaxy plows through the other, it stirs up the stars behind it, and their combined pull tugs backward, sapping its motion. It is a friction not of touching, but of gravity reaching across the dark, a soft and invisible breaking that turns a passing encounter into a lasting union. And you need carry none of it, none of the vastness, none of the ages. You may simply set it down softly, like a heavy coat at the end of the day, and feel how much lighter and how much sleepier you become. The 112th fact is that some of the stars caught up in the merger will be flung far out into the surrounding darkness, cast into the vast halo that will wrap the new galaxy, or even hurled entirely free into intergalactic space. These wandering suns, torn from their homes, will drift alone in the emptiness between galaxies, some of them forever. It is one of the quieter consequences of the Great Meeting, a scattering of lonely stars, set adrift in the dark by the coming together of two galaxies. The 113th fact is that even as some stars are flung outward, others are drawn inward toward the heart of the merging galaxies. Gathering into a dense and glowing central swarm, the gravity of the union pulls the innermost stars ever closer together, building up a bright and crowded core. In time, this core will become the heart of the new galaxy that the merger creates, a great golden center, gathered from the mingled stars of two spirals at once. The 114th fact is that while direct collisions between stars are all but impossible, some stars may pass near enough to one another to feel a gentle tug, their orbits nudged and bent by a close encounter. These near passes are rare and gentle, and would scatter stars into new paths without ever bringing them to touch. The galaxies are transformed by 1,000 such soft nudges, spread across the ages. The great new galaxy assembled not by any crash, but by countless quiet encounters in the dark. Let the great dark hold all of it for you now, all the stars and the ages and the slow and patient light, and let it hold you too, gently and completely, as you sink toward the quiet country of sleep. The 115th fact is that the chance of any two stars actually striking one another during the entire merger is so vanishingly small that astronomers consider it all but impossible across the whole galaxy. So thinly are the stars scattered through the vast dark that even two galaxies overlapping completely would see hardly a single true collision. The emptiness that makes space so lonely is also what keeps it so safe. A great and gentle void, cushioning even the meeting of galaxies. The 116th fact is that the meeting of galaxies is nothing at all like the fiery crashes we might imagine. With stars smashing and exploding in a great blaze, the truth is far quieter and far stranger. A slow and almost ghostly interpenetration, in which two galaxies glide through one another across hundreds of millions of years, and scarcely anything touches at all. It is one of the gentlest violent-sounding events in all the cosmos. A collision in name only, unfolding with the softness of drifting mist. The 117th fact is that through all the passes and mixings of the great merger, our own sun, should it still shine, would very likely survive the whole event intact, its family of planets undisturbed by any passing star. It might be flung into a new orbit, carried far from its old place in the galaxy, but it would not be destroyed by the meeting itself. The sun would simply ride the merger, quietly, and come out the other side still whole. A small, steady traveler, borne gently through the union of two galaxies. The 118th fact is that there is deep reassurance in knowing how gentle the meeting of galaxies truly is. For the word collision conjures fear, yet the reality is one of grace and space and slowness. No world is smashed. No star is shattered by the meeting of the suns. The galaxies simply flow together, like two rivers joining, mingling their waters without a single drop being lost. A union of astonishing gentleness, unfolding in the vast calm of the dark. There is a lullaby hidden in these vast, slow rhythms, if you listen softly for it. A rhythm older than the earth, gentler than any voice, drawing your breathing into its own calm and unhurried time. The 119th fact is that as the two galaxies pass and return and pass again, their spiral arms would slowly intertwine, weaving together into great looping bridges and streamers of stars stretched between them. For a time the sky would hold not two separate spirals, nor yet a single galaxy, but a beautiful tangle of light, the two wheels caught in the very act of becoming one. It is perhaps the loveliest stage of the whole long dance. Two galaxies interlaced, mid-embrace, across the deep. The 120th fact is that although the stars will glide past one another untouched, there is one part of each galaxy that will truly collide, meeting head-on in great sweeping crashes across the dark, and that is the vast, thin clouds of gas that drift between the stars. For unlike the tiny, far-flung suns, these clouds are enormous and diffuse, filling the space between the stars. And when they meet, something wondrous begins, which we shall follow next, as the night draws gently on. The 121st fact is that while the stars slip past one another untouched, the great clouds of gas and dust that fill each galaxy will meet head-on, crashing together across vast reaches of space. These clouds are enormous, spread thin across hundreds of light-years, far larger targets than the tiny stars. And so, where the suns glide by, the gas clouds collide, piling up and compressing in the meeting of the galaxies. The one true collision in the whole great merger, and the source of its most brilliant wonder. The 122nd fact is that when the gas clouds of the two galaxies slam together, they are squeezed and compressed, and it is this squeezing that sets off a great new season of star birth. For stars are born when clouds of gas are pressed tightly enough that gravity can gather them into glowing knots. The collision of the galaxies compresses the gas as nothing else could, kindling suns by the millions. A burst of creation, born directly from the meeting of the two great clouds. And so the wonder of it settles warm and quiet, somewhere behind your closing eyes. A soft last thought to drift upon, growing fainter and lovelier as the dark grows deep and the night grows kind. The 123rd fact is that astronomers call such a sudden blaze of star formation a starburst, a time when a galaxy makes new stars far faster than it ever normally would. In the merging of Andromeda and the Milky Way, the compressed gas would light up with countless new suns, born in a rush across a few 100 million years. The merged galaxy would blaze with the light of youth, a great flowering of stars, all kindled by the coming together of two galaxies' worth of gas. The 124th fact is that the collision of the gas clouds would fill the merging galaxies with glowing nebulae, vast luminous clouds where new stars are being born, shining in soft pinks and reds. These stellar nurseries would light up across the sky, marking the places where the compressed gas is giving birth to suns. It would be a galaxy alight with creation, the whole merged galaxy dressed in the soft rose light of its own newborn suns. The 125th fact is that the new stars born in the merger's starburst would include many brilliant blue giants, hot and massive and fiercely bright, blazing across the merging galaxies. These great blue suns burn hard and fast, lighting the sky with their fierce radiance. Though they live only briefly by cosmic standards, for a time they would make the merged galaxy shine with a brilliant blue light, a galaxy briefly ablaze with the fierce and beautiful fires of its youngest stars. It is a spacious and forgiving thought, with room in it for all your weariness, all your worry, all the small unfinished things of the day. Room enough to let them go, one by one, into the gentle and endless dark. The 126th fact is that our Milky Way still holds a good store of gas from which to make new stars, and Andromeda has some as well, and it is this gas, gathered from both galaxies, that will fuel the great starburst. Over the ages of quiet star-making since their births, each galaxy has spent much of its gas, but enough remains. When the two clouds meet and merge, that combined reservoir will kindle a final grand blaze of creation. One last great season of star birth, before the gas at last runs low. Let the immensity of it become a soft and boundless quiet in which to lay your thoughts to rest. A wide dark field of stars, in which every worry grows small and faint, and the tired mind at last lies gently down. The 127th fact is that the great starburst, for all its brilliance, would not last forever, but would blaze for a few 100 million years and then slowly fade as the gas was used up. Star formation, like a great fire, needs fuel, and the merger's fuel is finite. When the compressed gas has mostly been turned into stars, the burst of creation would gently die down, leaving behind a galaxy full of new suns, but with little gas remaining to make more. The 128th fact is that much of the light from a starburst is hidden within the very clouds that give birth to the stars, wrapped in dust that glows softly in the warmth of infrared. The new suns kindle deep inside dense cocoons of gas and dust, and their light is absorbed and re-emitted as gentle heat. To our eyes, some of the starburst would be veiled, but in infrared light it would blaze, a galaxy glowing warmly in colors just beyond the reach of human sight. The 129th fact is that the merging galaxies would be threaded with great dark lanes of dust, rivers of fine grains drifting among the stars, carving soft shadows across the glowing clouds. This dust is the raw material of new worlds, the very stuff from which planets, and one day perhaps life, are made. In the merger, it is stirred and gathered and compressed along with the gas, dark ribbons winding through the light, cradling the seeds of stars and worlds yet to come. Let yourself grow as calm as that far quiet, then as still as the space between the stars, and feel the day loosen its grip, and the bed grow soft beneath you, and sleep begin gently to gather you in. The 130th fact is that in the great burst of star birth, and in the deaths of the largest new stars, the merging galaxies would forge fresh supplies of the heavier elements, the carbon and oxygen and iron from which worlds and living things are made. Each generation of stars enriches the gas around it, seeding the cosmos with the ingredients of planets. The merger starburst would be a great new chapter in that slow enrichment, the galaxies not only making stars, but sowing the very elements of future life. The 131st fact is that among the countless stars born in the merger starburst, many would be wrapped in disks of gas and dust, and from those disks new planets would slowly form, whole new solar systems would kindle into being, each with its own worlds circling its own young sun. Somewhere among them, perhaps, might arise gentle blue worlds with oceans and skies of their own, new cradles for whatever life the far future might hold, born from the meeting of two galaxies. The 132nd fact is that during the height of the starburst, the merged galaxy would shine far more brightly than either Andromeda or the Milky Way does today, ablaze with the light of millions of newborn suns. From a great distance, it would gleam as one of the brightest galaxies in its corner of the cosmos. For a few 100 million years, the union of our two galaxies would blaze with a rare and dazzling light, a brilliant youth, kindled from the ashes of two quieter, older spirals. And there is comfort past all telling in that vast and patient constancy, in a cosmos that never hurries and never fails. A comfort you may rest your whole tired weight upon, tonight and every night, as you drift towards sleep. The 133rd fact is that the greatest of the newborn stars, the massive blue giants, would live only briefly and then die in brilliant explosions we call supernovae, each one for a time outshining billions of ordinary stars. These great deaths would ripple through the merging galaxies, scattering freshly made elements into the gas and triggering yet more star birth. The starburst would be a time of both creation and grand endings. Suns kindling and suns dying, all in the same great blaze of light. The 134th fact is that not all the gas would turn into stars, for the fierce light and mighty explosions of the new suns would heat much of it, driving great winds that push the remaining gas outward. In this way, the starburst begins, in time, to end itself, its own brilliant children scattering the very fuel that made them. The gas is warmed and thinned and blown away, and the great season of creation slowly, gently, draws toward its close. The 135th fact is that after the starburst has spent its fuel, the merged galaxy would grow quiet, its star-making slowing almost to a stop, for little cold gas would remain from which to build new suns. Astronomers call this gentle quieting a quenching, the settling of a once vibrant galaxy into a calmer, older age. The blaze of youth would give way to a long, slow maturity, a galaxy full of aging stars, making few new ones, drifting serenely into its long later life. The 136th fact is that as the merged galaxy aged and its star-making faded, its color would slowly shift, from the brilliant blue of youth to the warm gold and red of age. For the hot blue stars burn out quickly, while the cooler, gentler stars endure for ages. Over billions of years, the galaxy would mellow into a soft golden glow, the fierce blue fire of its merger youth giving way, at last, to the calm amber light of a settled ancient galaxy. So let the picture soften and blur at its edges now, the way the waking world softens as sleep draws near. The stars growing dim, the distance growing gentle, the whole great scene dissolving quietly into rest. The 137th fact is that astronomers do not merely imagine these starbursts, for they see them happening even now, in distant galaxies caught in the act of merging across the universe. Through their telescopes, they find pairs of galaxies tangled together, ablaze with new stars, their gas clouds colliding just as ours one day will. These distant collisions are like windows into our own future, showing us, in galaxies far away, the very fate that awaits the Milky Way and Andromeda. The 138th fact is that among the most beautiful of these merging pairs are two galaxies known as the antennae, so named for the long sweeping tails of stars flung out by their meeting. In their tangled hearts, great clouds of gas are colliding and blazing with newborn suns, a starburst caught in full flower. When astronomers gaze at the antennae, they are seeing a portrait of what our own galaxies will one day become, a preview, written in distant light, of the Milky Way's far future. The 139th fact is that for all the word collision may suggest destruction, the meeting of galaxies is among the most beautiful and creative events in all the cosmos, a great blossoming of new stars and new worlds. Out of the coming together of two ancient spirals arises a brilliant season of birth, a galaxy alight with fresh creation. It is less an ending than a beginning, a great renewal, kindled from the gentle meeting of two old and quiet galaxies. How gentle a thing, to be carried along in so grand and so unhurried a story, asked for nothing, spared every haste, and how easy then to let the eyes fall closed, and the breath grow slow, and the night take you softly in. The 140th fact is that even as the gas collides and the new stars blaze, something else is happening in the depths of the merging galaxies, slow and hidden and profound, for each galaxy carries at its heart a great black hole, and as the galaxies merge, these two dark hearts begin their own long, spiraling approach toward one another. It is one of the strangest and grandest parts of the whole event, and it is to those two dark and silent giants that we now gently turn. The 141st fact is that at the very heart of each galaxy lies a supermassive black hole, a region of gravity so intense that not even light can escape its grasp. Our Milky Way's black hole is called Sagittarius A star, and Andromeda harbors one of its own, even larger. As the galaxies merge, these two dark hearts will be carried slowly toward the center of the new galaxy that forms, two great black holes, drawn together across the ages, in a meeting hidden deep within the light. The 142nd fact is that the black hole at the center of our Milky Way, Sagittarius A star, holds the mass of some 4 million suns, all gathered into a single dark point smaller than our solar system. Around it, stars whirl in tight and rapid orbits, whipped along by its tremendous gravity. And yet, for all its mass, it is quiet and still, drifting at the calm center of our galaxy. a great dark anchor around which 400 billion stars slowly turn. The 143rd fact is that Andromeda's central black hole is far more massive than our own, holding perhaps 100 to 200 million times the mass of the Sun, dozens of times heavier than the Milky Way's. It is one of the larger black holes known in our corner of the cosmos. When the galaxies merge, this great dark giant and our own smaller one will be drawn together, two black holes of vastly different size, destined to become a single greater one. And you may let it drift away as softly as it came, leaving only a warmth behind and a wide and quiet calm. A stillness spreading through you now, from the crown of your head to the very tips of your toes. The 144th fact is that as the two galaxies merge, their black holes will slowly sink toward the center of the newly forming galaxy, drawn inward by the same gentle friction of gravity that binds the galaxies themselves. Over hundreds of millions of years, the two dark hearts will spiral closer and closer to the middle and to each other. It is a slow and patient descent, hidden deep within the crowded stars, two great black holes, quietly finding their way to a common center. How kind a thought, to drift asleep beneath this slow, sure turning of the heavens that will never fail nor hurry. A steady and patient presence in the dark, keeping its ancient watch while you let go and rest. The 145th fact is that when the two black holes at last draw near one another at the center of the merged galaxy, they will begin to orbit as a pair, circling one another in a slow and stately dance. Astronomers call such a pairing a binary black hole, two dark giants bound together by gravity, wheeling around a common center. For a long age they would circle thus, drawing gradually closer, two silent hearts, turning together in the deep heart of the new galaxy. The 146th fact is that once the two black holes begin to orbit one another, they will slowly spiral inward, drawing closer with each passing age as they shed their energy into the stars and space around them. At first their approach is gradual, taking hundreds of millions of years, as they fling away passing stars and lose a little motion with each. It is a long and patient courtship, two black holes circling ever nearer, across spans of time almost beyond imagining. There is nothing in all that vastness that wishes you anything but rest, nothing but the soft and patient turning of the stars, keeping their gentle vigil while you sink, slowly and safely, into sleep. The 147th fact is that as the two black holes spiral close together, they will begin to stir the very fabric of space itself, sending out ripples that astronomers call gravitational waves. These are gentle waves in space and time, spreading outward at the speed of light, carrying away the energy of the black hole's dance. As the waves flow out, the black holes lose motion and fall closer still, the whole of space trembling, ever so faintly, with the turning of the two dark giants. The 148th fact is that in the end, after ages of spiraling inward, the two black holes will merge, joining in a single silent instant into one greater black hole. In that final moment, the fabric of space will ring like a struck bell, sending out a last great pulse of gravitational waves across the cosmos. Two dark hearts will become one, a single supermassive black hole, born from the union of Andromeda's and the Milky Way's, at the very center of the new galaxy. The 149th fact is that the black hole left behind by this merger would be greater than either of its parents, a single dark giant holding the combined mass of both, anchoring the heart of the new galaxy. Around it, the mingled stars of two galaxies would wheel in their slow orbits, held by its tremendous gravity. It would reign at the center for ages beyond counting, a great dark heart, gathered from two, ruling quietly over the galaxy that the merger creates. The 150th fact is that despite their fearsome reputation, these great black holes will not devour the galaxies around them, for their reach, though mighty, is small against the vastness of a galaxy. A black hole's grip extends only to what drifts very close. The countless stars far out in the disk simply orbit it, safe and undisturbed, for ages. Our own sun, wherever it ends up, would circle the new black hole from a great and gentle distance, in no danger at all of ever being drawn in. Let the immensity of it become, strangely, a kind of pillow for the mind, soft and boundless and deep, a place to lay down every heavy thought and to feel yourself grow lighter and drowsier with each slow breath. The 151st fact is that during the merger, gas driven toward the center might feed the black holes, causing them to blaze with light as they draw matter in, becoming what astronomers call an active galactic nucleus. In such a state, the heart of the galaxy can shine with the brilliance of a whole galaxy of stars, powered by matter swirling into the dark. For a time, the merging galaxies might hold such a brilliant, blazing core, a beacon of light kindled around the feeding black holes. The 152nd fact is that a black hole itself gives off no light, and yet it can power the brightest beacons in the universe. For as gas spirals in toward it, that gas is heated to a fierce and blinding glow. The light comes not from the black hole, but from the matter falling toward it, blazing in its final approach. In this way, the darkest objects in the cosmos can crown themselves in brilliant light, a shining halo of doomed gas, circling a heart of pure darkness. The 153rd fact is that the whole slow drama of the two black holes, their sinking to the center, their long orbital dance, and their final merger, would unfold across many hundreds of millions of years, perhaps longer. It is one of the most patient events in all the cosmos, a courtship measured in cosmic ages. Deep in the heart of the merged galaxy, hidden among the crowded stars, the two dark giants would slowly, gently find one another, across spans of time beyond all human reckoning. And so it goes on, gentle and eternal, needing no help and no watching from us at all. Which means you are free, wholly free, to do the one small thing this hour asks of you, and simply drift toward sleep. The 154th fact is that the merging of two supermassive black holes would send out gravitational waves so mighty that, in principle, they could be felt across much of the universe, gentle tremors in the fabric of space itself. We have already, in our own time, detected such waves from the mergers of far smaller black holes, a great triumph of patient science. The union of two galactic black holes would ring space far more grandly, a deep cosmic chime, spreading outward through the dark. The 155th fact is that as the two black holes spiral together, they fling away any stars that wander too near, hurling them outward with tremendous speed in a kind of gravitational slingshot. In this way, the black holes clear a space around themselves, and some of these flung stars may be cast entirely out of the galaxy, to wander the dark between the galaxies forever. It is one of the ways the merger scatters stars into the void, suns flung free by the dance of the two dark hearts. The 156th fact is that once the two black holes have merged into one, the heart of the new galaxy would grow quiet again, its single dark giant drifting calmly at the center as the mingled stars settle into their new orbits. The great drama of the union would give way to a long and peaceful age. The merged black hole would simply rest there, silent and still, anchoring the galaxy for ages to come. A calm, dark center, after the long turning is done. The 157th fact is that as vast as these black holes are, they are astonishingly small compared to the galaxies they anchor, each one no larger across than a solar system, yet ruling over a galaxy 100,000 light-years wide. It is a strange truth that so tiny a heart can hold so great a body in its sway. The black holes governed by gravity, not by size, small dark points of immense power at the very center of all that light. It is a thought as soft as falling snow and as quiet, settling over the mind without a sound, covering the day's sharp edges in a smooth and gentle white until all is hushed and calm and ready for rest. The 158th fact is that astronomers learn about such black hole mergers by studying distant galaxies where they are happening now, and by listening for the gravitational waves they send across space. Each discovery teaches us a little more about the fate that awaits the hearts of our own galaxies. What will one day unfold at the center of our merged galaxy? We glimpse today in the distant reaches of the cosmos, a future foreshadowed in the faint tremors and lights of far-off galaxies. The 159th fact is that for all the grandeur of the black hole's merger, it would pose no threat at all to any world drifting far out in the galaxy, for their power reaches only across the small central region. Our sun, wherever the merger casts it, would circle the new dark heart from thousands of light years away, utterly untouched by its dance. The great drama at the center would be, for the outer stars, only a distant and silent wonder, a far-off event, felt by no one, harming nothing. The 160th fact is that when the black holes have merged, and the stars have mingled, and the starburst has faded, the two galaxies will at last have become a single galaxy, unlike either of the spirals that made it. No longer Andromeda, no longer the Milky Way, but something new and whole born of them both. Astronomers have even given this future galaxy a name, and it is to that new and final galaxy that we turn now, as the night grows late. The 161st fact is that the galaxy formed by the merger of Andromeda and the Milky Way already has a name, given to it in playful affection by astronomers who call it Milkomeda, or sometimes Milkdromeda. It is a gentle blending of the names of its two parent galaxies, a single word for a single new galaxy born of two. Though it will not exist for billions of years, we have named it already. A future home, christened long before its birth, waiting quietly in the deep time to come. Let the calm of the far cosmos flow down to you now, across all that gentle distance, and pool softly around you, a tide of quiet rising slowly through the room, lifting you free of the day and toward the deep of sleep. The 162nd fact is that Milkomeda will not be a spiral galaxy like its two parents, but a great elliptical galaxy, a vast, smooth, egg-shaped swarm of stars without arms or disk, for when two spirals merge, their orderly disks are stirred and scrambled into a rounder, more chaotic form. The graceful pinwheels of Andromeda and the Milky Way will give way to a single softly glowing ellipsoid, a new kind of galaxy entirely, born from the gentle undoing of two spirals' elegant shapes. And it will all still be there when you wake, unchanged and faithful. So there is nothing to hold tonight, nothing to keep, only the soft dark, and your slow breathing, and the gentle sinking down towards sleep. The 163rd fact is that elliptical galaxies are among the most serene of all the galaxies, smooth and featureless and gently glowing. Their stars drifting in a great swarm of many-angled orbits rather than a single spinning disk. They hold little gas, make few new stars, and shine with the soft golden light of their aging suns. Milkomeda would be such a galaxy, calm and mellow and old, a quiet elliptical, glowing warmly in the dark, its restless spiral youth long behind it. The 164th fact is that the beautiful spiral arms of both galaxies would be lost forever in the merger, unwound and scattered as the orderly disks were torn apart and mixed together. The neat, flat pinwheels that we so admire tonight would give way to a rounded, swollen cloud of stars orbiting every which way. It is a kind of ending, the passing of two spirals' grace, and yet also a beginning, the birth of a single grand new galaxy from their mingling. And how kind it is, this vast indifference of the stars, that leaves us so perfectly free to rest. To lie here in the warm dark with nothing to guard and nothing to solve, and to let ourselves, at last, fall gently asleep. The 165th fact is that our two great galaxies may not meet alone, for there is a third, smaller spiral in our local group, the Triangulum Galaxy, also known as M33, which may take part in the merger as well. Triangulum already drifts near Andromeda, bound to it by gravity, and it may be drawn into the Great Union, adding its own stars to the mix. The birth of Milkomeda might be a meeting not of two galaxies, but of three, a grand gathering of our little galactic family into one. The 166th fact is that the Triangulum Galaxy is the third largest in our local group, a modest spiral far smaller than either the Milky Way or Andromeda, holding perhaps 40 billion stars. It is faint and distant, just barely glimpsed by the sharpest eyes under the darkest skies. Whether it joins the merger at once or only later, it seems destined in time to become part of Milkomeda too, a smaller sibling drawn at last into the same great gathering of stars. The 167th fact is that Milkomeda, gathering the stars of two great galaxies and perhaps a third, would be an enormous galaxy holding well over 1 trillion stars in its single vast swarm. It would be far larger than either the Milky Way or Andromeda is today, one of the grander galaxies in its corner of the cosmos. From all those mingled suns, a single new galaxy would arise, a great elliptical giant, gathered from the whole of our little galactic neighborhood. The 168th fact is that from a world within Milkomeda, the night sky would look very different from our own, for there would be no soft band of the Milky Way arching overhead. In an elliptical galaxy, the stars are spread more evenly across the sky in every direction, rather than gathered into a single glowing disk. The heavens would be scattered more uniformly with stars, a gentler, more even glow, without the great river of light that we know tonight. So let that be the last of the day's thinking, this soft and spacious wonder at the deep, and let it too grow quiet now, dissolving gently into the dark as your breathing slows and sleep draws near. The 169th fact is that Milkomeda, being an old elliptical galaxy with little gas remaining, would make very few new stars, its great age of creation long behind it. Most of its suns would be old and cool, glowing softly in warm golds and reds. It would be a galaxy in its serene maturity, no longer kindling many new lights, an ancient, settled place, drifting calmly through the cosmos, content at last simply to shine gently with the light of the stars it already holds. The 170th fact is that the full making of Milkomeda, from the first meeting of the galaxies to the final settling into a single smooth elliptical, would take some 2 billion years or more, an event longer than many an age of the Earth. The galaxies would pass and return and pass again, slowly blending, until at last the motion quieted and the new galaxy took its final form. It is a birth measured in billions of years, the slowest and grandest of all creations, unfolding across the deep. The 171st fact is that once formed, Milkomeda would endure for an almost unimaginable span of time, drifting through the cosmos for many billions, even trillions of years to come. Elliptical galaxies are stable and long-lived, their stars settled into orbits that will hold for ages beyond counting. The galaxy born of our two spirals would outlast the Sun, and the Earth, and very nearly everything we know. A great and lasting monument, glowing quietly in the far future, long after we are gone. There is a hush at the heart of such immensity, a silence so deep and so old that it soothes all it touches. And you may let that hush move through you now, quieting the mind, softening the body, easing you towards sleep. The 172nd fact is that by the time Milkomeda is fully formed, the wider universe around it will have grown lonelier, for the endless expansion of space will have carried the distant galaxies far away, beyond the reach of sight. From within Milkomeda, the other galaxies of the cosmos would be dimmer and more remote than they are for us tonight. Our own local group, merged into one, would drift as a single island in a vast and darkening sea, alone but whole. The 173rd fact is that in the fullness of time, not only Andromeda and Triangulum, but very likely all the galaxies of our local group will gather together into Milkomeda, drawn in one by their shared gravity. The dozens of small dwarf galaxies that drift with us would, across the ages, be gathered into the single great elliptical. Our whole little family of galaxies would become one, a final gathering, a homecoming of the entire local group into a single glowing whole. The 174th fact is that Milkomeda would carry within it the mingled remnants of all its parent galaxies, the old stars of the Milky Way, the old stars of Andromeda, and the new stars born in their meeting, all drifting together. To some future astronomer, if any there be, the galaxy would be a kind of living record of its own creation, its different stars telling the story of the great merger. Milkomeda would remember, in its very stars, the galaxies it was born from, a history written in light, drifting through the deep. The 175th fact is that the making of Milkomeda, though it means the end of two beautiful spirals, is not truly a destruction but a transformation, the flowing of two galaxies into a single new form. Nothing is lost that is not also carried forward. The stars endure, the matter endures, only the shape is changed. It is the way of the cosmos, this endless gentle remaking, old forms giving way to new, across the patient ages, nothing ever truly ending, only becoming something else. And it will all still be there, faithful and unchanged, whenever you wake. So there is nothing at all to hold on to tonight. Nothing to do but let go gently, and let the great calm dark carry you softly away. The 176th fact is that if our sun still shone when Milkomeda formed, it would find itself a citizen of a wholly new galaxy, drifting in a new orbit through the great elliptical swarm, far from its old home in the Milky Way's spiral arm. It would circle the new central black hole from a great distance, among the mingled stars of two galaxies. Our little sun would end its days in a galaxy that did not exist when it was born. A quiet traveler, carried gently into a new home by the tides of time. The 177th fact is that the merging of galaxies into great ellipticals is one of the most common ways that the largest galaxies in the universe have grown, gathering themselves up out of smaller spirals across cosmic history. The giant elliptical galaxies we see today were very likely built this way, from mergers like the one awaiting us. Milkomeda would join their number, one more great elliptical born of merging spirals, in a universe that has been building such galaxies since the beginning. The 178th fact is that there is something tender in the fact that we have already named this galaxy of the far future Milkomeda, a home that will not exist for billions of years, and that none of us will ever see. It is as though we have reached forward across the deep time and given a gentle name to the fate of our galaxy, claiming a small kinship with a future beyond all imagining. In naming it, we make it, in a way, already ours, a distant home held softly in the mind across the ages. Let the thought grow faint and warm, like the last soft light at the close of a long day, and let yourself follow it down, unhurried, into the deep and gentle quiet where sleep is already waiting for you. The 179th fact is that Milkomeda, for all that it means the end of the familiar Milky Way, would be a thing of great and serene beauty, a vast smooth glow of a trillion mingled stars, drifting calmly through the dark. It would shine with the soft gold of age, quiet and stable and enduring, a fitting home for the far future of our galaxy. There is a gentle grandeur in imagining it, the peaceful, glowing culmination of everything our two galaxies will ever have been. So let the wonder soften now, and grow warm, and settle somewhere quiet behind your closing eyes. A last gentle glow of distant stars to drift upon, fainter and lovelier, as the deep calm of sleep draws near. The 180th fact is that through all of this vast transformation, from the first meeting of the galaxies to the birth of Andromeda, one small question remains especially dear to us, and that is what will become of our own sun. For it is around the sun that our whole world turns, and its fate is, in a sense, our fate too. And so, as the night draws toward its close, we turn at last to the gentle story of the sun, and of the deep and peaceful time beyond. The 181st fact is that our own sun will very likely survive the entire collision of the galaxies unharmed, though it may be flung far from its present home into a new and distant orbit. The simulations suggest the sun could be cast outward, carried into the far reaches of the merged galaxy, or perhaps drawn nearer the center, but in either case it would sail through the meeting intact. The great merger would rearrange the sun's place in the heavens, but it would not destroy it. A small, steady star, riding the union of two galaxies to a new home in the dark. The 182nd fact is that by the time the galaxies fully merge, our sun will be very old, nearing the end of its long life, for in about 5 billion years it will begin to swell into a red giant. As it exhausts the hydrogen fuel at its core, it will grow vast and cool and red, expanding perhaps beyond the orbit of the Earth. And so the sun's own old age and the merging of the galaxies would unfold in the very same distant era. Two grand endings, gently coinciding in the deep future. How restful to lay the whole vast wonder aside now, knowing it needs no keeping, and turn simply towards sleep, to feel the pillow soft beneath you, the dark kind around you, and the slow tide of drowsiness rising at last. The 183rd fact is that when the sun swells into a red giant, it will grow so enormous that it may swallow the innermost planets, Mercury and Venus, and perhaps reach out toward the Earth itself. Its surface will cool to a deep ruby red, even as it grows hundreds of times larger than it is today. For a time, the sun will be one of the brightest stars in whatever galaxy it then inhabits. A great red lantern, glowing softly in its old age, in the sky of a galaxy remade. The 184th fact is that the fate of the Earth in that distant time is uncertain, for as the sun swells, it may engulf our world entirely, or the Earth may drift outward to a wider, cooler orbit and endure. But long before then, the slowly brightening sun will have warmed our world past the point where life as we know it could remain. The Earth of that far age would be a very different place, and whatever becomes of it, it will have long since ceased to be the gentle blue world we know tonight. The 185th fact is that after its red giant days, the sun will gently shed its outer layers into space, casting off a soft glowing shell of gas, and leaving behind only its small hot core, a white dwarf. This ember, no larger than the Earth yet holding much of the sun's mass, will glow with a fading heat for ages beyond counting. Our star will end not in violence, but in a quiet, gentle cooling. A small white ember, drifting through Andromeda, slowly growing dim across the eons. And so the great and gentle cosmos keeps its slow way through the dark, asking nothing of you at all, leaving you free, wholly and softly free, to close your eyes now, and breathe, and drift away into sleep. The 186th fact is that the gas the sun casts off in its dying will form a beautiful glowing shell called a planetary nebula, a soft luminous cloud spreading gently outward from the cooling ember at its heart. For a few tens of thousands of years, This delicate shell would glow in soft colors, a last gentle bloom of the sun's long life. Then it too would fade and disperse into the dark. A brief and lovely farewell, drifting quietly out among the stars of the merged galaxy. The 187th fact is that the white dwarf the sun leaves behind will slowly cool and dim across billions upon billions of years, glowing ever fainter until at last it fades to a cold, dark ember. This final fading is so slow that the universe is not yet old enough for any white dwarf to have fully cooled. The sun's last remnant would drift through Andromeda, growing gently colder across spans of time almost beyond meaning. A quiet, patient dying, softer even than sleep itself. The 188th fact is that all of this, the merging of the galaxies, the aging of the sun, the birth of Andromeda, unfolds across such vast reaches of time that our whole human story is but the faintest flicker within it. Billions of years lie between us and these events, longer than the age of the Earth, longer than the age of life itself. And yet the cosmos moves through them all with the same unhurried calm. One gentle age following another, in the great and patient silence of deep time. The 189th fact is that in all of this deep and distant future, there is nothing at all to fear, for it lies so unimaginably far ahead, and it unfolds with such gentleness and grace. The galaxies drift together in peace. The stars glide past untouched. The sun ages softly into a quiet ember. These are not events of terror, but of profound and serene beauty. A future to be met not with worry, but with wonder, and with a deep and gentle calm. There is room in that endless dark for every weary thought to be set down and left to rest, and room, too, for you held safe and small within it, as you sink slowly toward the quiet warmth of sleep. The 190th fact is that to contemplate these vast events is to feel gently both how small we are and how deeply we belong to the cosmos, for we are made of the very stardust that these galaxies hold. The atoms in your body were forged in ancient stars, and they will drift on, in one form or another, through Andromeda and beyond, long after we are gone. We are not separate from this great story, but a part of it, a brief, aware moment in the long, slow life of the stars. The 191st fact is that though the Milky Way as we know it will one day be gone, nothing that truly matters is ever lost, for the stars endure, the atoms endure, and the great patient dance of gravity goes on. Forms change, galaxies merge, suns are born and die, and yet the cosmos carries all of it gently forward, wasting nothing. There is a deep reassurance in that we belong to a universe which does not destroy, but only endlessly transforms. The 192nd fact is that in the whole vast story we have followed tonight, from Andromeda's distant approach to the birth of Andromeda and the gentle death of the sun, there runs a single quiet thread, the slow, unbroken rhythm of a cosmos in no hurry at all. Everything changes, and yet everything goes on, gently, patiently, across the ages. There is nothing in it to trouble the heart, and everything in it to soothe. A universe unfolding, always, with the calm of a slow and steady breath. Let it carry you now, this soft and boundless picture of the deep, the way a slow current carries a drifting leaf, gently, and without effort, out past the edge of the waking world and into the calm of sleep. The 193rd fact is that perhaps the gentlest lesson of the galaxies is one of patience, that the grandest things in all the cosmos happen not in haste, but across unimaginable spans of quiet time. The galaxies do not rush to meet. They drift together over billions of years, in perfect calm. There is a deep peace in that slowness, a reminder that not everything need be hurried, that some things unfold gently, in their own vast time, and are all the more beautiful for it. The 194th fact is that everything we have drifted through tonight, the two great galaxies, the mingling of their stars, the birth of a new galaxy from their meeting, is bound together by a single soft feeling, a boundless wonder at the sheer scale and beauty of the cosmos. It is a wonder that asks nothing of us but to notice it, and to let it carry our thoughts gently outward, away from the small cares of the day, into the calm and open dark, where all is quiet and vast and at peace. The 195th fact is that as you lie here tonight, that same faint smudge of Andromeda is hanging somewhere in the sky beyond your walls, drifting slowly nearer across the dark. Exactly as it has all through your life, it is out there now, in the deep quiet, beginning the long approach we have followed in our imaginations. There is something comforting in that thought, that the great story is already, gently, underway, unfolding in perfect silence, far above the sleeping world. The 196th fact is that there is a quiet wonder in the simple fact that we, small and brief as we are, have come to understand these vast events at all, foreseeing the meeting of galaxies billions of years away. From a small blue world, gazing at a faint smudge of light, we have traced the future of our whole galaxy. It is one of the gentlest triumphs of our curious kind, to have reached out with the mind, across the deep time, and glimpsed the very fate of the stars. There is room enough in that great dark for all the day's small weights to be set softly down and left behind, and room enough, too, for you held safe and small within it, drifting slowly toward the quiet of sleep. The 197th fact is that in all the long and vast story we have followed tonight, spanning billions of years and two great galaxies, there is really only one thing asked of you now, and that is simply to rest, and to let the wonder of it all carry you gently down toward sleep. The galaxies will drift together in their own slow time. The sun will shine for billions of years yet, and you have nothing at all to hold on to now. Nothing to do but breathe and soften and let go into the quiet. The 198th fact is that as your breathing slows and your thoughts grow soft and dim, you might imagine yourself drifting gently out among the stars, out where the two great galaxies lean slowly toward one another in the calm and boundless dark. There is no hurry out there, no weight of any kind, only the slow, serene drift of the galaxies, and the deep peace of the space between them, and you may let yourself drift with them now, softly, easily, into the welcoming dark. The 199th fact is that far above you, the great slow dance of the galaxies goes on, silent and patient and gentle, needing nothing from you at all, asking only that you rest beneath it. The stars will keep their slow orbits, the galaxies will drift ever nearer, and the whole vast cosmos will turn quietly on, whether you wake or sleep. So let the last of the day dissolve now, and let your thoughts grow still, and let yourself sink softly and without effort toward the deep calm of sleep. The 200th fact is that long after this night has passed, and long after all our nights have passed, the two great galaxies will still be drifting slowly toward one another through the dark, leaning gently together across the billions of years, in a meeting written into the sky since long before we were here to see it. So let your thoughts grow quiet now, and let the last of the day dissolve into the dark, and drift outward softly, with those two great islands of stars, into the calm and endless night. Rest now, sleep well, and thank you for drifting with me beyond the stars.